I want to talk about another point brought up before the show, and this relates to what you're saying here, but is one that, just by pure me watching these things, I've seen in it. Laura Hoffman said, again, quote, desensitization is expected from influencers when negative comments and responses are expected to be seen, allowed, and anticipated even on a mass scale. Because that baseline of negativity is established, the threat escalation is significantly higher while also being allowed to, quote, drown in the noise. So I could probably just talk for hours on this one point, but I want to ask you about it from a purely psychological standpoint, because I see two contrasting things happening in the space. One, the creators feel to some viewers like close friends. The term parasocial friendship gets tossed around a lot, which can lead to the feeling that said gamer or streamer will want to chat with you and just you personally, even if they've never met you. Conversely, the anonymity of the internet means that you can fairly anonymously say the most egregious or even threatening things to a person, not only because it's easy to do so, because it feels like this isn't a real person. They're just pixels on your screen. So what are your thoughts on the ubiquity of this ease of access to people who make and do things for large audiences?
Yeah, I think the desensitization has happened across society, and I think there does need to be a course correction there. Famously, the sort of some of the original thinkers and fathers of the modern internet, Stuart Brand, who's a San Francisco guy, said information wants to be free, and well, maybe it shouldn't be, so maybe there's a course correction coming there. And I think actually you have to think about how do we, moderation doesn't really work in some ways. I mean, lots of these tech platforms have very sophisticated and qualified moderation teams. The trust and safety departments in most of these places now are up running and very good. But language is nuanced and it's very hard. And I'm not entirely sure that the answer is going to come from the environment itself, and I think that the desensitization is true. The mass content that, say, a female influencer gets, misogynistic content of a sexually threatening nature, it's just massive. So that desensitization has happened. Now, what I actually think might be useful in terms of changing some of this dynamic is possibly blockchain, and just in the way that people are rethinking how the internet destroyed journalism in some ways, it's one argument because it took the ads away and all the rest of it. So the business model for journalism destroyed. The business model for, all of the social networks and lots of this stuff is the more outrageous you are, the more, the more the algorithms promote you and all the rest of it. Now, if you had to pay to speak with a microtransaction, you might think twice about it, right? It's just I don't know if that's a total answer to this, but I know that, Twitter just introduced or just announced it was introducing a big blockchain initiative to look at some of these kinds of issues, because they know that, people do hide behind it's not even anonymity in some cases. It's just the fact that the consequences aren't directly in their face. That adding some extra steps and adding some, well, actually you have to pay to say that kind of thing in some way might be an interesting solution to this. So anyway, I think there's some interesting people working on some interesting stuff. There's a new department at the Media Lab at MIT looking for public discourse systems that can be more, less vitriolic. So, there's lots going on there, but I think the desensitization is something that we shouldn't accept as it's gone now. We should try and introduce some controls back into language and speech on the internet.
Yeah. And also the other part of that is that desensitization isn't always happening. Like, I think we forget that a lot of content creators, like you, if you're an author, you have to be on Twitter. Like, it's your publisher is going to tell you to do it. If you're a blogger, if you're this or that,
absolutely,
you have to be in the social sphere. And because of the way the social sphere works, you have to be sort of, unless you like hire someone to like handle your social media accounts, and like that can wear down even the most thick-skinned people. So, related to what you're saying before, do you think this sort of necessary accessibility is just business as usual from now on? Or will there be some sort of course correct in the future where we're like, I can't believe like everyone was accessible to everyone for these couple of years?
I think it's the norm now. I think it will continue to be as well. There's obviously a democratizing element of this as well. You know, that is very powerful and I think very useful. So I don't think we'll look back, and I don't think it will change. I think part of it is because you know, we're operating in these very fluid environments right now. This year, particularly, I think it's been very culturally fluid. Lots of people leaving jobs, starting new jobs, pandemic, things like that. And so the conversations are necessary in many ways. And I think people do look to influencers, for want of a better description, or just people in their community, and the idea of community now has exploded globally. You might have more in common with someone in another country that follows a sport that you follow than someone that lives down the street. So I don't think we'll change the way we do things, but I do think, as ever with technology, policy, law, and all the rest of it needs to catch up to what we've created. And it's, you know, I don't think too many people would disagree with that.
I'm excited to announce that our Infosec skills platform will be releasing a new challenge every month with 3 hands-on labs to put your cyber skills to the test. Each month, you'll build new skills ranging from secure coding to penetration testing to advanced persistent threats and everything in between. Plus, we're giving away more than $1,000 worth of prizes each month. Go to infosecinstitute.com/challenge and start your challenge right now.